is by placing a downward slope and using a dash roll while being on the slope before using it. The 25, 50, and 100 key chests don't scroll to the end. Presumably, they will get the feature for only 1 or 2 pages, but having the arrow keys be there at 150 key chests is completely pointless, as they do nothing. The amount of comments in a user's page is always displayed as 9, no matter what. It might be because we're being replaced already. Ever since RobTop moved servers in 2023, it is no longer possible to search for numbered accounts by putting a space after them. If you're holding a dash roll and during the command it calls the speed trigger, the dash animation for a robot changes to the default running, despite still being in active dash roll state. If the level's gravity has been set to any number assigned to default for both players, any duel the player enters afterwards will only have the main icons in the gravity setting with the second one on the default. If you place a color trigger and you have duration line setting turned on, you can make the line appear diagonal instead of straight. This is easily done by placing any trigger with a duration time, moving it up one grid, and then pressing the undo button. When in the Save Levels tab, go into a folder without any levels in it. After that, go into another folder and play a level. This button does not work with any level for some reason, but it does work with Bloodbath and Duelo Maestro. After entering the level, just leave and go back to the level select screen. The text that normally only shows when there are no levels in a folder will appear. This persists switching through folders, although it goes away simply after you hit something. This button makes you unable to complete gauntlet levels in their gauntlet state, which means you can never make progress in them. Some levels fail to download as well. Apparently, this happens when the level's gauntlet ID gets removed from your save file, but we have no idea how this can happen, as this is an incredibly rare bug to experience. By setting up spawn and teleport triggers in the following order, you can clip through the ground if it goes fast enough. By jumping underneath the slope in this specific way, the icon will elevate much higher than usual, leading to some inconsistency. If you enable advanced options on completed and points, it will not showcase the correct information, as at times it showcases levels without points anyway. Same goes for recent levels. If you press the play button in the editor, then immediately pause it again, there's a chance that the music in the level will continue playing on its own anyway. If you time it just right, and if the level is built with the right circumstances, there's a good chance you can clip through the structure without dying. If a user has posted a list to the game, and that user changes their account name, the list uploaded prior will still display the old name. Whenever you try to rotate an object by 45 degrees that isn't within 100 block range, it will move the object weirdly. If you have selected a few objects with different size and try to scale them all with scale option, it will show them all as one-time scale then instead of clicking on the scale option. Watching a shockwave in the editor causes the ground to mess up. Setting the color of an invincible object to black blending or 0 with an alpha trigger, the inside glow can still be seen. The new 2.2 objects always have a higher priority in layering versus older objects. Can you notice anything wrong with this screenshot? Because it took me like half a minute to notice that the ship icon is being displayed as a cube icon instead. No clue how this was caused. The progress bar when creating a level only updates when you beat the level. An example would be that if you had a 15-second level, beat it, but made it 20 seconds, 100% would still be 15 seconds until you beat the level again. Also, when using a start position, it starts you at 0. This means you can end a level both before and after 100%. Mirror mode literally doesn't work. Start position settings. If you have warped any objects using the warp tool and try rotating, it will reset the object's warps that was done previously. For unknown reasons, the data of a daily level may be lost and switched to an not available rated level with 0 downloads and likes, as well as no creators as it doesn't exist. Stereo Madness is a placeholder song, as well as the same percentage, star count, and mana orbs we had on that level. While this feature has been patched on PC, trying to use the copy level ID button on mobile still doesn't work. If you die on the exact same step that a song trigger is triggered, if the song is faded in, the same song as the bass song on channel 0, and the bass song is also faded in, the game's sound effect engine F1 crashes, and alas, so does the game. Caused by unknown circumstances, breakable blocks creates different behavior in separate tenants. An example shown here is by playing the level Dark Star by Quantum, where the second passage of breakable blocks stops working once the player has hard reset the level. By arranging arrow triggers in the following setup, you will completely break the game's movement, and the player can either die, going all the way backwards or jump ahead to beat the level at any time. There are multiple versions of this bug with varying numbers of steps on how to make it happen. A bit difficult to understand what happens in this one, but according to this user, a static camera was used for an earlier section. They were removed using static exit later. But when entering a gamebook portal a while later, presumably with camera values, caused the static camera from earlier to reactivate. Selecting multiple slopes at once and trying to free move them is impossible. If you die in practice mode after a time warp trigger, the game forgets to keep it going. You set the game speed back to the default. On iOS 18, clicking on users' socials on the video profile Discord, when opening a list, if you copy a level in that list, play the level and then exit out of that set level. If you exit out of the created level menu at that point, the interface for the list will then begin to disappear. If you then open a level in that menu and exit out, the entire list is just blank. After setting up a keyframe animation using the following setup, there's a decent chance that the game crashes and displays a runtime error when the player passes the keyframe trigger. The error states that the vector is too long for the code to maintain. In platformer mode, standing on a block that are also set to ice block and jumping/flying off of said block will not reset its ice property, and as a result, even if the player is not touching said block, they will have said blocks as physics as if they were standing. This effect is the most obvious in the jump back and UFO games, but other gamers are affected too. Extra Sticky does not produce similar results. For unknown reasons, the game sometimes fails to save to the servers despite the saved file size being within limits. While that can be argued to be the cause of faulty server connection, the fact that the game can duplicate levels from the editor tab as a result is definitely a weird problem. Every time when holding down any of the movement buttons on mobile before respawning into a platform level, you'll be forced in that direction, and even if you let go of the button used to start the bug, you have to repress a movement button for the bug to stop. Place a platform block in a blue tree so the block follows player X. Place your character on top of the block while it's not moving on the X-axis, and when it's fully on the block, start pressing right direction. The block follows the player, but since the player is on the block, it accelerates you, which makes the block go faster and so on. When setting a start position to any other values that aren't default, and copy and pasting that same start position somewhere else, none of the options save over and are instead reset to the default. Typing in numbers and adding spaces either between, before, or after numbers in the search bar will always direct you to the level with an ID you typed. For example, if you type 211 in the search bar, instead of finding the extreme evil 211 Mr. Minister, it finds an F by dash. If you type 696969 or space 696969 or any other type of variation, you will always find the level and a full response menu. This is because it contains only numbers, so it automatically yields a level ID. It does not account for spaces unless you include a number or character ID. When you place a J cover block, it doesn't work, neither in legacy levels or platform. When searching for easy rated levels, newly rated auto levels will sometimes show up with the results of it. Trails tab keeps number of pages from latest bookings time. When looking at a comment, the player icon in the corner is unable to use an icon. Any object's rotation is fucked up when causing your playtesting the game. Some icons in the game, depending on certain circumstances in the level, will have parts of their sprite repositioned. If you open someone's account from a platform levels leaderboard while in the level, then play one of their levels and exit. When you exit out that person's account, the game crashes. When hitting the following orb setup and beating the level, after hitting the end wall and restarting, the same orb setup will now work in a completely different way. Similar to Bug 64, where there will be a slightly different setup, in the editor, if you use an arrow trigger to flip the player sideways, facing the ground, then use a dash arrow, the player will get stuck to the ground and be able to climb in by jumping. When searching for a collection of levels, if one inserts any number above 1,000 that go to page option, they will get redirected to page 1,000. When upside down, the robot's trail is not affected by gravity, instead it displays one. Setting up a roller camera using the A/D or left and right arrow keys will still cause the touch screen to be registered. In the editor, playtesting with UI objects will cause the playtest will not cause the objects to stop following the camera and go back to their normal position. They will keep following the camera. This can be stopped by panning the camera so the object doesn't render or open, close the editing group for that object. If you have auto retry disabled and you die in any platform, the UI presents a progress bar that shouldn't be there to begin with, since the progress of platform levels are much an instant. If you click on the select all button, the save levels tab with a creator system behind it, you will press the creator system name instead of the select all button. This happens as a result of input priority, where the creator has priority over the select all button. When in 2 times, 3 times, or 4 times speed, the mini-red can partially phase through slopes if it's on a debug. I think the debugs are somehow affecting slopes and making it malfunction. This is not the big way. If an object is affected by an area move trigger, whatever object follows will not mimic that movement set up in the video. A bunch of balls rotating around each other was affected by area move, so they repel each other. Saws are set to follow the last ball, yet they only follow rotation and not area move. By pressing the arrow keys in the main level select screen near the tower, you can enter the tower accidentally while scrolling through the levels. It also happens when you enter and exit quickly from the tower back to the main level select screen. Pressing the snap rotate button lets the object rotate correctly at first, but gets progressively worse with great press. In the 5th last page in the first build tab, if you select any of the 1 or 0.5 times slide related items, then the ground line disappears. Whenever static camera is set to follow the object you're focusing on, it resets after you go to your game pool after you've already exited static. In modes such as platform mode, if you pick the side of a block normally,
Who the fuck is this guy? Oh, it's me. I checked. Fucker, okay.
Now come back. What happens if you give no cooldown to Doomspire Brick Battle? Well, by using the rocket launcher, you can fire tons of rockets as fast as you can click. But in the regular game, by spamming the slingshot while jumping, you could fly. Now, it was only possible because of its fast firing speed, but with no cooldown, you can also fly with the others. By pulling out the sword, you can also fly with it. It isn't that great. You can't do damage with it because you bring a sword to a rocket launcher fight, but by swapping it with the rocket launcher to stay airborne, you become unkillable. I got to personally reveal a new Minecraft feature to the entire world, the straw bed. This new bed stacks to 16 and is currently crafted with 3 hay bales, although this may be adjusted. It lets you sleep through the night without resetting your spawn point, which is perfect for adventures. After you sleep, the bed just disappears. I tried using it in the nether and end, and instead of exploding, it just disappeared, but that could be changed in the future. Since they float like normal beds, straw beds are amazing for making thatch roofs and market stalls, especially when mixed with the new wool slabs. You can also make interesting path designs that have this cool lip on the edge, kind of like a sidewalk. It's not confirmed yet that this new bed will be coming in the fall 26.3 drop alongside the autumn biome and the new wool stairs and slabs, which is why Mojang let content creators like me break the news to the community. But since there's no official image of the block publicly available, I had to draw it instead. And my drawing actually ended up on the official Minecraft wiki. So now that I'm a famous artist, I guess you better subscribe. If I woke up and was trapped
How you doing, Luke?
God.
Good. It's cool.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where the United States forms an empire. Now I have done this video before, but it was not like how I do my traditional empire videos. In that video, it was more of we went back in time and made the US into an empire, but now we're going to be going for modern day and making the United States into an empire. So,
basement. Wait. Just face planted into the cold island. And there's like 500,000 villagers here. Let me just turn on the suffering. Summon the freezing cold. Oh, they're dying. I didn't even finish the command and half of them are gone. Survivors are just huddling together for warmth. Okay, teamwork. I respect that. Very wholesome. This'll last like 10 seconds. Hold on, someone just farted. They're all surrounding this one cross-eyed villager who's covered in green fart particles. And he's not dying. Is that what's keeping him alive? I'm putting this in his butt. For science. And he's dead. Problem solved, I guess. Another guy grabbed a butt stick and he's rubbing it on a rock to start a campfire. And it worked. Wait, the stick's on fire. I think your nose is on fire. Now another villager is chasing him with a raw chicken, trying to cook it over his burning nose like a campfire. Now this is survival. Oh, fire's out and his nose is black. Chicken guy is pissed, and that chicken is still raw. What? You think it's his fault? Now he's frozen solid. Literally a villager on a stick, like a popsicle. A villager popsicle. One group went to the forest. The trees are frozen solid. Look, this guy's trying to punch it. He's taking damage. Again. Wait, what? Oh, yeah, this gotta hurt. Wow, this guy's collecting your XP? That's cold-blooded. Literally. And these villagers are just digging burrows in the snow. They're breathing on their arms to stay warm. Wait, they heard something. Is that a polar bear? I didn't spawn polar bears. Where did they come from? Oh, man. The villagers are all camouflaged like snow blocks. Let me just put this raw pork chop on your head. What? Yeah, you better run. Look, what are these things? Strays. And they're shooting arrows at the villagers. It looks like these arrows have a slowness debuff. Look, this guy's moving in slow motion. The stray hit the villager with the slowness. Uh-oh. I don't think he's gonna make it to the toilet. Wait, this guy got hit too, but he didn't crack. His friend is looking at him. No, did he just trade his body to the bear? Oh, man. Okay, but what about the hot island? 500,000 villagers on a desert. That's literally cooking them alive. Let me just summon the scorch.
I must be tweaking. Oh my god, bro. Log into an existing account.
How is it possible for the most beautiful tune you have ever heard of to exist in the lyrics of Cheesy Michael, Open Up the Door?
Cheesy Michael. Cheesy Michael. Cheesy Michael. Cheesy Michael.
This is a documentation of the first war between the Rulings and the Coalition. So this war was fought on Sunday, 2026, May 30th. Players were given an announcement that they would be preparing to go to war with the other faction. The server's broken into two factions, Coalition to the north and Rulings to the south. On some last notes here before we
It's been a
Hello and welcome to my first.
It's been a crazy few months from Umbrella. I traveled to Taipei to showcase the game. I got some news about funding. It had a 6 million view YouTube short, all culminating in the release of the demo.
today. I'll go through the news in chronological order, starting with my trip to Taiwan. A few select games from South by Southwest Sydney got a free booth at Taipei Game Show, so I decided to make a trip out of it. To be honest, the section we were in was a little quiet. Most people seemed to be there for gacha games, but it did help boost wish lists in Asia, which had been severely lacking. It even got live streamed by IGN Japan. The hosts were quite good at the game, and I'm pretty sure they started throwing for content at the end to fill time. I still thought the trip was worth it. It was cool to experience the culture. Though I have just a few Chinese business cards left over. Let me know if you have any ideas for what to do with these. Moving on, a few of you might have watched this video,